You're welcome.
Good morning and welcome to the special meeting of Westminster's Mayor and Common Council. During the public health emergency, we will be conducting our meetings virtually and they will be available and streamed live on the city's Facebook page as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. Copies of today's agenda and the entire information packet that the council will be using are available online on the city's website. We have one item of business, which is the purpose for this meeting. And for that, I will turn to Ms. Colston and Ms. Matthews.
Well, I don't know if,
I'm
Barb
here.
is- there
Yeah,
she is.
I believe Ms. Colston is going to present this item because she's the one who got the price quotations.
Great. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Colston.
Okay, so I wanted to discuss the cleaning services for the new office building that we're going to be inhabiting on Monday. Very exciting. So I had obtained 3 different quotes from 3 different companies, one of them including the company that is currently providing the cleaning services here at 56 West. I had them provide quotes for the same scope of work that they're currently providing, cleaning 5 times a week. And I, as you can see in the packet, the ranges of the quotes came in from about, let me pull it up to make sure I'm speaking right, 27.3 all the way up to 45,000. My recommendation is to continue with the current company that we have, that is Multicorp, and they came in at 28.8. We just know that they've done a fantastic job. They also do the cleaning for multiple other buildings for the city of Westminster, so it would help with the continuity of that service. Other than that, that's pretty much it, unless you have any questions.
Let's get this properly before us. May I have a motion to
I'll
accept
make
the
the
staff
motion.
recommendation?
I'll make that motion.
I thank you, Mr. Dayhoff. There's a motion by Mr. Dayhoff and a second by Ms. Gilbert. All right, thank you. Is there any discussion on this?
I just have one question, Ms. Colson. The
Gilbert?
Multicorp, and I'm not familiar with the I mean, I saw what was in the packet. Does that also include, say there was a COVID outbreak or something that needed a deep cleaning in the office? Is that extra charges for us, or is that part of the contract? How does that work?
That's part of their scope of work, yes.
Okay.
I want to add that I did also have them provide a quote for carpet cleaning. That's one thing that we don't currently have done.
Mhm.
So there is a lot of carpet in the new building. So obviously that's something that we're going to want to maintain. So they did provide a quote for that. And that would be a yearly expense, not a monthly expense. So that is outside of the scope of this work.
Okay, and what about the polishing of the floors? That's also outside, because I know, like, when
Yes.
there's hardwood floors, they need to be polished once or twice a year, whatever the recommended, whatever is. That's part of that. Okay.
That would be part of the outside of that scope. Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Mr. Kavachi?
Mayor, was that you or Maya?
Yeah, you're up though.
Oh, okay. So we clean the office 5 days a week, every work day.
Yes, they come in and well, they're gonna come in and vacuum and they dust and change the trash cans out and whatnot.
Does it the entire building every day?
Yeah.
So, I didn't know that until obviously this came up. By way of example, we have our office cleaned every other week. Now that might be a little too little, but I'm shocked that we need to have the office cleaned every single day. That just seems like a lot to me. I've never worked in an office, not that I've worked in a lot of offices, but I've never worked in one where it's cleaned every day. Most of the time it's once or twice a week or something like that. What's the rationale behind cleaning it every single day?
I can't speak to that. That's how it's been done since I've been here, but I anticipated your question. So I had them also give me a quote for 3 times a week. And that brought it down to
Well, first of all, I'm very impressed, Ms. Colston. Thank you for anticipating
You're
that.
welcome.
Yeah. I think
That'll
she's been
bring the
watching
quote
you.
down to 22,740.
Mm.
So it's about
Saves about
600 a
6
month.
grand.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with Tony. I know in my office, we have it cleaned every Wednesday and once on the weekend, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's been forever and time. Even through COVID, that was the way it was, unless there was an outbreak and then they had to come in and do a deep clean. But other than that, it's still maintaining that. It's just twice a week.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Mr.
sorry, you were,
President.
well, no, sorry, Mr. Mayor, I think the mayor was seeking recognition earlier.
So my question was related, but I guess what I was asking, I think it was answered, was is it being cleaned every day because of the current situation with COVID-19? But it sounds like it was happening before that. So I do understand the difference. So like Tony, my business is cleaned every other week. And that's not like some schedule that we made up. When we actually, when we looked at cleaning companies, they all pretty much gave 2 or 3 options, which was monthly, every other week, and then only one of them really gave something that was weekly. So I don't think in a lot of cases that it's typical, it's cleaned as often, although I do recognize the difference between a business that has very little public traffic and a organization or a building that has, some. So I do understand it's a different situation, that we have people coming in often. There's more people. So even though it's a bigger place, the same entrances and everything are being used by a lot more people than, say, a business like mine or Tony's and or Mr. Cavacci. Sorry. So I wouldn't necessarily suggest we go to like a every other week situation, but I don't know, unless it was because of the pandemic, daily is necessary. Although I will say that everything that I know, and Ms. Matthews, you may want to chime in on this at all, but everything that I know about recommendations for even the current pandemic situation is that surfaces really aren't the concern that they were in the beginning. I question if every day is really necessary as well, but I'm not suggesting we go to like every other week schedule or anything. I just wanted to know if, again, my original question was, is it daily because of the current situation, or if that's how it's always been?
Let me just say that my experience, I think, perhaps I've worked from my last several positions in larger office buildings with more people. Certainly, right now, of course, during the pandemic, not doing that. But the last 2 large office buildings that I worked in, which had, comparable numbers, I think, we did see a cleaning crew at least, in fact, I think back farther than that, at least 3 times a week, if not every day. So I think that's pretty common for larger spaces. And while I recognize that smaller spaces, maybe, which are, smaller groups of employees may be different. I think that, there's an argument to be made for larger, high traffic spaces to have more frequent cleaning than, once a week or every other week. But I think Ms. Matthews probably has some information as well.
Yeah, this has been our typical practice for a while. I would say my experience has been the same as Council President Pecoraro, and I would point out that we have a lot of employees who basically eat breakfast or lunch at the office, so you have remnants of food stuff, and I would certainly not suggest that we clean any less than 3 times a week. As someone noted, this is a building that it has public traffic, and I think after a while, if remnants of food is sitting in a trash can, it's going to start smelling up the entire building. So I certainly wouldn't go any less than 3 times a week.
So Lydia, because I've worked
Sorry,
in.
can we, Ms. Gilbert, can we go back to people seeking recognition?
Sorry,
Thank you. All right, Ms. Gilbert.
Mr. President.
Yes, Ms. Gilbert.
So Lydia,
And Ms. Colston.
okay, sorry, Ms. Colston.
Thank you.
It's not it doesn't feel like the formal meeting on a Monday night. Sorry, I apologize.
I'm sorry. I know we gotta maintain standards somehow.
Ms. Colston, so as far as what the cleaning company, is there a discrepancy or a difference between what they would do, say Monday, Tuesday, like Wednesday? Do they just come in and empty the trash? can you do that and set it up that way? And then, because you don't really need to clean the carpets every single day. That to me sounds a bit much. But for them, I get the idea of emptying trash cans because I work in a building of 115 people. Yeah, you got a lot of people eating lunch. You're eating lunch in and the trash needs to be taken out, all that kind of stuff.
So my understanding was that doing it every day, if you move down to the 3 times a week, there is a little bit more work with the 3 times because they're not maintaining as much. So they're going to have to wipe down a little bit more thoroughly or whatnot. He did give me a price per service, and the 5 times per week was 110 per service, and the 3 times a week is 145 per service. So
what exactly do they do? I'm just curious because I know where I'm at. We're lucky we get our trash cans taken out in all of our cubicles and have to literally put up a piece of paper saying empty my trash. And we have to put a paper up saying please vacuum this room. So yeah, I'm not feeling our cleaning company is marginal at best, but we go through cleaning companies like water.
So they're wiping down all counters and all surfaces. They're cleaning the trash. They're cleaning the bathrooms. They're doing spot vacuums, and then weekly, I think they're doing a full vacuum. They're cleaning windows, that kind of thing. I think I have more deep carpets and floors, windows, general cleaning, that kind of thing. I could get more detail on what actually that is, but.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Dayhoff.
Oh, Mr. President.
Mr. Dayhoff.
So Ms. Colston, what it is that we're discussing is a difference of $5,000 on a yearly basis.
Roughly, yep.
It's 6,000, it's 59.80 for the year. So it's $435 a week versus 500 and I moved my calculator.
It's $6,000, $6,000 a year. I don't know. I see it as cost effective for a high traffic public building, and I would be perfectly comfortable if they came in 5 days a week.
Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, really quickly, I agree with Mr. Dayhoff. I wanted to know more, but again, I do recognize it's a different type of building. Just because it's a much bigger building and everyone's got their own space doesn't mean that the shared areas aren't being used by a lot more people in the public. I'm not trying to just pinch pennies and have a building that's not as clean or exchange that $6,000 savings for extermination costs later down the road. So I'm totally okay with it, the 5 days a week. I just wanted to know more and to know if that was temporary, if that was permanent, or what. So that's just so everybody knows, since I won't be voting on it, but I want everyone to know where I stood. I'm good with that.
Mr. Kawachi, go ahead.
I was just going to weigh in and say I think 3 days a week is more than ample. Employees can have a little bit of responsibility to tidy up a little after they get done eating. I know if I eat some food that is particularly smelly, I take it outside and throw it away. And I don't think that's too much to ask. I realize it's only $6,000, but it's $6,000. And at the end of the day, I think 3 days a week is more than ample. Again, I think most offices get cleaned once a week at best. I'm not going to vote for 5 days a week. I think I'm surprised. I think that seems that seems excessive to me. Just my 2 cents, Mr. President.
Thank you. Ms. Matthews, let me ask you a question. So as I understand it, staff we're going to take possession of the building and start using it beginning next week. Is that the case?
That is correct. Everyone's packed up. The movers are going to be starting to pack the housing files tomorrow, and then actually relocating the items that are being moved from 56 to 45 on Friday. And then they'll be decommissioning 56 West Monday and Tuesday of next week. So employees will be in the building as of Monday.
Great. And what's the plan for occupancy at this point? Are we going back to, we're going to be back to being fully staffed immediately, or are we going to still be continuing to, rotate people and have, people teleworking and that sort of thing.
That's actually on my to-do list to discuss with you and the mayor how you wanted to handle that. I think certainly for some employees who've been mostly working remotely, we do need to give them some notice to make childcare arrangements as necessary. Certainly the building lends itself a little bit more to higher occupancy than 56 because there are a number of employees who have private offices and people aren't on top of each other.
Mhm.
Like they were at 56. So we still are in the process of getting some of our employees vaccinated. I actually got an email yesterday for those employees who were deemed to be critical infrastructure. That's going to be primarily our public works employees.
Mhm.
As you and the mayor are aware, we only had 41% of the eligible employees actually take us up on the offer to be vaccinated. But the health department is allowing us to open the window up for those employees again. So we have until Friday
Mhm.
to submit those employees' names, but obviously those are not the employees who are housed at 56 West.
Right.
So some of the 56 West employees met the health department definition, others did not. So we certainly don't have every employee at 56 West who's been vaccinated at this point.
Well, my thought would be that, while we're ramping up, occupancy of the building, that it might make some sense to, at least start off with 3 days a week and see how that goes. That, and I recognize it's a small savings, but, as Mr. Cavacci noted, it's still a savings and, we can put that money to use somewhere else perhaps. I think that, and then we can see, we won't have the public, is the plan also to open the building to the public immediately as well?
Once again, I think that's going to be a discussion point
Right.
if you want to do that.
Right. So perhaps until we settle those things, maybe 3 days a week would be sufficient. Ms. Colston, do we have an option to pick up, what if we choose to increase the frequency?
Yes, the gentleman that I've been speaking with Multicorp has been very flexible and with things like that, and I'm sure he would have no issues. He had given me a price per service, so my understanding is that I can do the 3 or then I can change it to the 5 and that would be fine.
And we can communicate that to Ms. Levan in drafting the contract that we're initially contracting for 3 days a week, but that the city at its discretion could basically change to 5 days a week as necessary.
Mr. President.
Ms. Gilbert?
So I would like to follow up on the opening of the building and recommend that at some point we develop a teleworking procedure. I don't think we have one. So Ms. Matthews, if you could address that with our personnel department, I think that's going to be very important because there's a lot of people who have for the last year successfully teleworked. They're really not going to want to go back to 5 days a week. I'm just saying there's going to be a lot of people who are going to want to continue at least 1 or 2 days a week telework. So there's going to have to be a procedure and something put in place for accountability. And
Well, why don't we let that be a conversation that the personnel committee could have with the city administrator to talk about, what an appropriate plan would be, and then they can bring it to everybody else. Because I don't think we've all settled on that, how we want to proceed with that yet. So I think we should kind of walk through that first.
Yeah,
and have some
I
conversation.
certainly have some familiarity with formal policies. One of my previous employers had one. Ms. Gilbert is correct. I have had employees mention that. My statement to date has been that the teleworking that has occurred the last year was an accommodation because of the pandemic, and at least at this juncture, pending any further discussion, it was just that it was an accommodation, but there should certainly not be an expectation that everyone could continue teleworking routinely. But yes, I can certainly share policies that I have in my possession about teleworking. They certainly exist in many organizations.
All right, well, Ms. Gilbert, if you'll take that up with the personnel committee and, have that conversation, we'll look forward to a report back on that.
okay. And then can I make a motion that I recommend that we do the cleaning contract for, no, I don't do that. Guy.
Well, so,
Mr. President,
well, you can't preface a motion with debate. I will say that. Mr.
President.
Dayhoff.
I made the motion. I'll be happy to amend the motion to 3 days a week.
All right, so let's make this easy. Is there any, if there's no objection, we will amend the motion to 3 days a week. Hearing no objection, the main motion is now, to approve the contract at 3 days a week. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. We'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of approving the contract at 3 days a week, please say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it. And so we'll do 3 days a week. Ms. Colston, thanks for having the foresight to include that. We appreciate it. And
You're
we
welcome.
certainly want to have a nice, clean building for the public to see once the public is allowed to come in to see it. And, so we'll look forward to that. That was the one item of business we had. Is there any other business that we need to take up?
No, President Pecoraro, and thank you all very much for doing this on such short notice, and I apologize for the snafu that led to the need for this morning's meeting. We really appreciate it as a staff.
Certainly. All right, well, thank you all for your time, and without objection, the meeting is adjourned.